Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
You know, we talked about that, and they always go back to that where it dragged the pedestrian. That's got to be well, first of all, the electric car business is starting to fade, and the news media is picking up on it, and they're making stuff up like crazy about it.
Well, that's the thing, right?
And they don't want to. They want to be the first ones to tell you that the electric car world is done. The media does, and it's not. It's going to be here. Trust me. You're gonna have electric cars in your future.
So I mean, and this is the thing: is that the car did what it was supposed to. This is the problem with autonomy or AI or anything like that. Is you're trying to program a computer to react to crazy humans that do crazy things.
Well, yeah, you can't legislate stupid. How are you going to predict?
There was, remember there was a Tesla crash over the summer, I think it was, where the Tesla hit somebody crossing the street. And they said, well, the Tesla hit somebody. And then you look at the footage, here's somebody in the dark with a bike, pops out of the dark, gets hit. It's like, I would have hit that person. Anybody would have hit that person.
And not at the corner either.
Right. They come out of from behind the bushes in a dark place. It's like that's the whole thing, is that you can't program. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, if a Tesla hits a fire truck, okay, that's the problem.
There's a problem.
But I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, even we talked about this. They were putting traffic cones on top of the car to confuse it, and I mean,
oh yeah.
So this is the whole thing. Is that it's just like remember, you ever hear the stories about when the first combustion cars came on the road? They said, well, they can't share the road; it's going to scare the horses. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the whole thing. Is like. This is we
didn't know about Midex or Milex mufflers yet.
Right. Well, I was a little Midas. But I'm saying is like this is we talked about in Michigan, they're talking about giving the autonomous vehicles their own lane, and hopefully nobody jumps out in front of them.
So now wait a minute, we're going to have a bike lane, an electric an autonomous lane,
a bus lane, an HOV lane.
Yeah, holy crap!
10 lanes later, right?
We're going to have all these lanes. You're going to have to put in 10 lanes and diagonal.
But see, here's the thing, though, is that this is my argument, though, is that when you have autonomous vehicles taking up a portion of your traffic, in theory, this should eventually help get rid of traffic jams. Because we're the ones causing the traffic jam. If you have autonomous vehicles, they'd all line up behind each other, do the speed limit, and it'd be, perfect world. But that's the problem, is that we're the ones that cause traffic jams. We're the ones that stop. You're going to
still be involved in a traffic jam. It's just you're not driving.
Well, but that's right. But no, but my point is the autonomous car doesn't have to stop and look at the accident and
Right. They don't gape. There's no gapers.
There's no gapers in autonomous cars. So that's what I'm saying is I know you have your issues, but I'm saying that there is an upside, there's a downside, and so obviously it's not going to be perfect, and we need to figure out. We need to not hit fire trucks.
And we need to not hit people too if you can help it.
Ideally. If
you can help it. I don't know. There's like you said, you would have hit that person. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, you can't program something to prevent an unpreventable accident.
This Sean Fain is on a roll, buddy. The UAW is on a roll. This workers' plant in Tennessee, I think it's the VW plant, the one they've been trying to organize forever. They just got 1,000 VW workers to sign on. The UAW said it has signed up more than 1,000 employees at the Volkswagen Group's non-union Tennessee auto plant, setting up a high-stakes showdown at a site where the union suffered painful past defeats. Yeah, the union got thrown out 2 or 3 times. The union has now gained the support of more than 30% of workers at the Chattanooga facility. You know why? They don't say that here. I'm going to tell you in a minute. There's a key threshold for the group because it means Volkswagen employees who have been working with the UAW will go public with their efforts as they seek to win more support. This according to the union. Once 70% of employees at a plant the UAW is targeting support organizing efforts, and if company management declines to voluntarily recognize the union, the labor group will try to win a government-supervised unionization election. Let me just tell you, I actually have a person I know works at that plant, and this union thing, The reason now all of a sudden there's 1,000 people at that plant where there wasn't before that want to be involved in this union is because of the deal General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler got.
Right. They saw what they got.
I mean, they saw 35% raises, and
Right.
oh my God, over 3 years. I mean, the guys are making a ton. And you know what they're saying? Hey, why don't we get a piece of that action? What are they going to offer us? VW is going to offer us $2 more an hour. Going to give us. They're going to throw us a bone. But you're not going to get what the UAW guys got, and you're not going to get the UAW training. You're not going to get the UAW organization, but you unfortunately are going to get the UAW crooked hierarchy. I don't know any other way to say that.
Well, yeah.
But this Sean Fain guy seems to be okay. But everybody gets elected the first time on Gung Ho and Guts and Ma the Flag and Apple Pie. They all get elected on that, and then they turn into crooks. That Rory guy they had before him. He was like the most solid guy in the.
I was going to say, until Sean has non-union people build a mansion somewhere with their money. Don't worry, he's okay until then. Until then, he's fine.
Or they build him a resort in the woods out
Right.
in Michigan or something. Yeah, I know. But you know what? For right now, he's setting the world on fire. Sean is. Well, and here we go with my nitrogen boys again, and or hydrogen rather. I just love these guys. General Motors has signed a joint agreement with Autocar Industries, a bespoke truck manufacturer, to develop a range of vehicles powered by hydrogen fuel cells. The first vocational truck, a type of commercial vehicle designed for specific work purposes, is slated to begin production in 2026. And the initial suite of vehicles, in other words, the various ones you can get, will include cement mixers, roll-off trucks, and dump trucks. These vehicles share a common architecture. Later, the joint venture will produce a garbage truck and terminal tractors. The venture will leverage GM's hydrogen fuel cell research and a development unit. Vehicles will be built on Autocar's plant in Birmingham, Alabama. Now, when they say they're going to do these trucks, what kind of battery do you suppose? They're going to have a big hydrogen engine, because otherwise you're going to have to switch to hydrogen engine. You can't do battery. A battery's not going to run a dump truck, I'll tell you right now. If it does, it's not going to run it for long.
Right. Well, and we know that there are certain states, they're working on it. They've been unveiling these electric garbage trucks and stuff like that. And I think we talked a few weeks ago about how New York passed on getting battery-powered snowplows, which would have been a bad idea.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, they're pushing the idea. And I guess at the end of the day, if it gets out in the field and they field test it and they go, well, this just isn't going to
handle. Yeah.
Right.
Electricity can't handle it.
Instead of forcing them to do it. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And then they're talking about garbage trucks, cement trucks. Cement trucks are always running when they're going down the road. A big thing is turning.
Well, guess what happens if a cement truck stops turning?
Yeah, they drive.
Somebody's got to go in there with a jackhammer and clean it out.
Yep, if they can get in there with a jackhammer. Sometimes, well, they're not that full. I wonder sometimes why don't they just go with a straight hydrogen engine designed for the heavy trucks, and you'll get good mileage, and will pollute zero. I don't know if it'll get good mileage. I can't say that because I don't know what the mileage is going to be. Well, I got some electric vehicle stories here we have to talk about, and it's kind of important, I think. But this was a blog from a guy that I actually I like. I think he does a good job with it. A guy named Jake Fisher. And his quote is, "The longer a vehicle or a technology is in production, the more bugs are worked out. The automakers that have produced electric vehicles earlier, they're improving the reliability. So they've got to change."
Elon's on his, fourth or fifth model. He's learned a lot. He's made a lot of cars, made a lot of updates.
But at this point in time, the man writes a story, and he's got a chart here in the back. Electric vehicles are far less reliable than gasoline-powered vehicles, according to Consumer Reports. But most of their issues represent growing pains as automakers launch models with new powertrains and the latest features that electric vehicle buyers expect. If there are any, I think the electric vehicle buyers pool has dried up. Okay. EVs had 79% more problems than vehicles with internal combustion engines, according to Consumer Reports' 2023 Auto Reliability Survey of 330,000 vehicles. Plug-in hybrids were twice as bad, with 146% more flaws than gasoline vehicles. Well, there's more to break. But hybrids scored best with 26% fewer problems, than gasoline-powered vehicles. Consumer Reports said Wednesday at an event that the Automotive Press Association. Who cares? In other words, he's saying they don't stack up. And here are the worst ones. My God. Lexus. Oh, yeah. Lexus, Toyota, Mini, Acura, Honda, Subaru, Mazda, Porsche, BMW, Kia. Tesla's down at number 14.
Well, like you said, these are all the new players in the game.
Yeah, they're new players. He's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, my God. They're just not. And we have another problem with electric vehicles that people are not talking about. And it's out there. Believe me, it's out there. The proceeds of trading one in is what it's not good. Depending on which side of the sale you're on, it's either a horrible year for electric vehicles or a great year for electric vehicles, said fellow panelist Alex Yuchenko, Black Book chief data scientist. We saw a very heavy depreciation of electric vehicles this year. When Tesla cut new vehicle prices in January, the impact could be felt almost overnight in the wholesale market, Yuchenko said. A lot of fleet companies, a lot of rental companies were not happy about that, Yuchenko went on to say. But if a consumer wants a used EV, it's getting more and more affordable as it comes down. But right now, right now they're going up, but yeah.
Well, this becomes an interesting question with the EV is I wonder if they do a battery assessment as part of that.
Well, because it depends on how old is this EV and how many miles have you put on it?
Because they can essentially determine the life, the
battery.
Yeah, the battery life that's left.
And if you got to buy that vehicle, you better buy it $23,000 cheaper than they want, because you got to put a battery in it. I don't know. I wouldn't buy a used EV right now. I wouldn't buy a new EV right now, but that's just me. We're talking about what else? Electric vehicles, and This is another drop in the bucket, but it'll have to work for now. The first of what will be 2,000 electric vehicle fast chargers that General Motors plans for Pilot and Flying J travel centers are right up here on 94 across the country have opened, the automaker said Tuesday. 2,000 whole electric chargers, Chuck. The initial 17 electric vehicle fast charging locations and a whole 17 locations began to open in 13 states, a soft launch starting in September, said Alex Kiros, GM's Director of Charging Experience. Oh, there's a new title, Director of Charging Experience. At least 25 locations are expected to be up and running by the end of the year. But we got more electric cars than that, with about 200 anticipated by the end of the next year, in a partnership with Pilot Travel Centers LLC and charging network EVgo. Each location can charge as many as 4 whole vehicles. Fast chargers at each location deliver up to 350 kilowatts. Chuck, what are we doing? They built more electric cars than that last month. And we're going to build 17 states. We're going to have stations, and we're going to have 17 sites in 13 states, and they're going to do up to 4 cars each. What's 4 times 17?
Not that many.
68.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's not enough.
Right.
Elon personally delivered 1,000 vehicles last month. Of course, they're in California and Texas where they have stations, but still, there's not enough. What are we doing? We're putting perfume on a pig, is what we're doing. We're putting perfume on a pig. Our situation for charging electric vehicles is the pig. And every time somebody announces they're going to do a little something like that, then we sprinkle a little perfume on that mess we got, because that pig stinks. First of all, and besides that, let's go on to the other end of the pig where you don't have any place to plug it in to get the charging station fired up. We don't have any of that. What gives? You tell me.
Well, okay, so that becomes the question, though, is that would you rather government subsidies and build millions of these things and then nobody uses them?
Well,
so I mean,
I don't know that we need millions, but we need to keep up with what we're building.
But this goes back to the whole kind of buyer beware thing. If you're going to buy an electric car, make sure you got places to charge it. If you're going to buy, a propane-fired vehicle, make sure there's a place to get propane, or CNG or whatever. I mean, that's part of the process.
Can you imagine an electric semi, two of them pulling in there, and there's only one charging station? Those two boys are going to get out and beat each other half to death to get that charging.
Well, and I was actually talking to some truck drivers about this the other day, and I said, realistically, the only way this is going to work, those guys work, 10 hours or whatever it ends up being?
Yeah, they're allowed to have 10 hours, I think.
So your battery has to last 10 hours, and then when you go park, it needs to be charged by the time you get up in the morning, right? So, I mean, that's the whole thing, is that the only way this is going to work, because he's not going to waste half of his day going in and getting, I mean, they don't even like to get fuel because it takes so much time.
It takes time.
So you need to be able to go 10 hours and then stop and charge your battery, swap your battery, do whatever, and be ready for the next shift. That's the only way this is going to work.
And what's going to stop you from parking near this other truck that's charging and taking the charger off of his and putting it on yours?
Well,
there's going to be problems if there's not enough chargers.